Remember last week when those 10 states filed one of those antitrust suits against Google? It was heavily redacted. But also there was the suggestion that Facebook and Google were somehow in an allegedly illegal sort of cahoots. Well, the Wall Street Journal has seen an unredacted draft version of the lawsuit, and quoting the journal, Facebook and Alphabet's Google agreed to, quote, cooperate and assist one another if they ever faced an investigation into their pact to work together in online advertising. Google used language from Star Wars as a code name for the deal, according to the lawsuit, which redacted the actual name. The draft version of the suit says it was known as Jedi Blue. The lawsuit itself said Google and Facebook were aware that their agreement could trigger antitrust investigations and discussed how to deal with them in a passage that is followed by significant redactions. The draft version spells out some of the contract's provisions, which state that the companies will, quote, cooperate and assist each other in responding to any antitrust action, end quote, and, quote, promptly and fully inform the other party of any governmental communication related to the agreement, end quote. In the company's contract, the word redacted is mentioned no fewer than 20 times, the lawsuit says. The unredacted draft fills in that word. It is antitrust. The redacted lawsuit filed last week makes no mention of Facebook Chief Operating Officer Sheryl Sandberg. According to the draft version, Ms. Sandberg signed the deal with Google. The draft version also cites an email where she told CEO Mark Zuckerberg and other executives, quote, this is a big deal strategically, end quote. So there's that, and also this morning there's this. Sources are telling the Washington Post that in the early stages of the U.S. antitrust investigation into Facebook offered to help build a social networking competitor using its own network and code. In other words, in order to make the government go away, Facebook offered to build a competitor to itself. Quote, in an attempt to illustrate its commitment to competition, the company's top lawyers signaled that they would be open to changing some of its business practices, according to three people familiar with the matter. One of the ideas Facebook floated would have allowed another firm or developer to license access to its powerful code and its users' intricate web of relationships so that they could more easily create their own version of a social network, said the individuals who spoke on the condition of anonymity to describe a non-public law enforcement inquiry. But the investigators ultimately rejected the idea, believing Facebook's proposal, part of a vague early menu of remedies the tech giant presented this year, failed to fully address their competition concerns. In the end, the Federal Trade Commission and nearly every state's attorney general, led by New York's Letitia James, filed twin lawsuits this month that seek to break Facebook apart. Facebook's tense last-minute negotiations in the final days of the state and federal probes illustrate the urgency with which the company has sought to rebuff the government's charges and foreshadow the aggressive tactics it is expected to deploy in the fight to come, end quote.